Hello everyone. Today we'll focus first of all on the hormones secreted by the placenta. Last day you remember we have checked the topic placenta formation. You please recollect it has got the fetal part also and it has got the maternal part also. The fetal part, chorionic villi, which ultimately modifies into chorionic villi, and the maternal part, which is decidua basalis. Now we'll proceed further with hormones secreted by placenta. To name the most important ones, first is HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. HPL, human placental lactogen. Estrogen, progesterone, relaxin. So first of all, we'll see the first one, human chorionic gonadotropin. The name itself is telling you that it is somewhere related to chorionic villi. So it is human chorionic gonadotropin which is secreted by the fetal part and it maintains the corpus luteum. Corpus luteum, the remnant of Graafian follicle. So since the corpus luteum is being maintained, that means the pregnancy hormone, that is progesterone, will be continuously secreted for the whole gestation period. Please recollect here, this particular hormone is like a pregnancy test because this is secreted when the fetus is already formed, because it is secreted under the influence of fetus. So this hormone, if it is found in the bloodstream of a mother, then it is like pregnancy test. It is a sign that the mother is pregnant now. So once again, to come to the function, secreted by chorionic membrane of the embryo, maintains corpus luteum, and this is the test for pregnancy because it comes from fetus. One more function of relaxin we will see, facilitates childbirth by softening the connective tissue. So when the process of parturition has to happen, a fully formed fetus is already formed inside the mother's womb, then relaxin helps in this contraction and relaxation of the muscles, uterine muscles, so that a smooth delivery of the fully formed fetus can take place. Now we'll proceed further. In addition to these hormones, levels of hormones like estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine increase several fold. This is essential for fetal growth as well as for the metabolic changes in mother during these phases. Like estrogen and progesterone will be maintaining the gestation period, will be maintaining the pregnancy changes. Cortisol will also help in functioning of the immune system, in taking care of other metabolic functions which are required at that critical phase. Thyroxine helps in growth of the fetus, because thyroxine, if you remember, is basically for maintaining the BMR, basal metabolic rate. So at that time, thyroxine plays a major role in formation of a normal fetus, formation of a healthy fetus. So all these hormones, in addition to the 5 mentioned, HCG, HPL, estrogen, progesterone and relaxin, these hormones also play an important role to carry forward the gestation period. Umbilical cord. This is a new term. During pregnancy, along with placenta, another structure also develops, which is called umbilical cord. It's a long, thin cord that runs between the fetus and the placenta. Please remember, placenta is attached to the uterus. It is attached to the belly of the fetus on one side and to the placenta on the other side. It contains blood vessels taking fetal blood to and from the placenta. So, umbilical cord, as the name suggests, it is like a connecting link between the fetal blood and the maternal blood. It's basically blood vessels. So, it's a long, thick cord which maintains a connection between the fetal blood and the maternal blood. So, this is the cord which maintains all the exchanges which need to take place between the fetal blood and the maternal blood. So, it is connection between the maternal blood and fetal blood. It is an attachment between the fetus and the placenta. To make it more clear, let us see a diagram. Fetal membranes or extra-embryonic membranes. See, in this diagram, the outermost layer is chorionic villi. Please remember, chorion modified into chorionic villi. Second to it is amnion. Amnion is the layer inside which, like, the embryo, the developing embryo is situated. Between the developing embryo and the amnion, there is a cavity called amniotic cavity, which contains amniotic fluid. Now, this fluid, very important. After amnion and chorionic villi, the structure is chorion, definitely. This structure, future umbilical cord, chorionic, yes, yolk sac. Yolk sac, as the name suggests, the sac in which some amount of yolk is there. We will see the function later on. This future umbilical cord, this blood vessels here, the structure called allantois. Allantois will ultimately form the umbilical cord, will help in the formation of blood vessels, which ultimately will form umbilical cord. So, to begin with, outermost chorionic villi, this finger-like projections, which is basically modification of the chorion layer. Amnion, the membrane which covers the embryo. Between the amnion and the developing embryo, the cavity, amniotic cavity, having a fluid, very important fluid, amniotic fluid. Then it is allantois. Allantois is the structure which will help in the formation of umbilical cord later on. So I have written here future umbilical cord and a yolk sac. Yolk sac, as the name suggests, the sac having some amount of yolk. We'll see one by one these four structure and their function. Amnion, yolk sac, chorion and allantois. See the first one, amnion. Inner membrane that surrounds the embryo. We have just now seen in the diagram that amnion was the membrane which was like surrounding the embryo. Between amnion and embryo is present amniotic cavity having a fluid, amniotic fluid. What is its function? Two functions it has. It prevents desiccation. Desiccation is like dryness. It doesn't allow it to dry up. Otherwise, it may not survive. Shock absorber. Any kind of shock it can absorb. So, it's basically protective. It prevents dryness or desiccation and it is a shock absorber. Yolk sac. The sac-like structure. Critical role in birds and reptiles. But in humans, it does not nourish the embryo. Please recollect, for nourishment in human, the embryo is having placenta, which is having a connecting link, that is umbilical cord. During early development, it is source of stem cells. Let me clarify this word, stem cells. You have already heard in your previous class, stem cells are like undifferentiated cells. There's a technology called stem cell technology. There are banks called stem cell banks. So this particular stem cell, which is like undifferentiated cells, when taken out at this stage from the embryo, can be kept in the bank. Like we keep cryopreservation, you remember, minus 196 degrees Celsius liquid nitrogen. So if these cells, stem cells, will be kept in the stem cell bank through stem cell technology, many diseases of that particular embryo who will further become a baby and then ultimately become an adult can use his or her own undifferentiated cells to program and to form other cells of the body. So stem cell technology and stem cell bank is something which the medical science is also looking forward to. Maybe in near future we may have this research in this field which may prevent many genetic diseases, because that stem cell is undifferentiated cells of that child when he or she was still inside the mother's womb. So stem cell technology and stem cell bank, undifferentiated cells. To come back, during early development, it is a source of stem cells, undifferentiated cells that give rise to blood and lymphoid tissue or cells. They later migrate into developing embryo. It gradually degenerates and shrinks. Chorion, part of chorion in contact with endometrium. Please remember, very important structure, layer of uterine. Part of chorion in contact with endometrium produce finger-like projections called chorionic villi, and that form a part of placenta. So the fetal part which is there in a placenta formation is this chorionic villi, which is coming from chorion. Allantois. It forms blood vessels that run between fetus and uterus wall in the umbilical cord. So the umbilical cord, which is like a connecting link between the fetal blood and the maternal blood, it is basically coming from allantois. It forms blood vessels that run between fetus and uterus wall in the umbilical cord. Allantois plus chorion forms a structure called allantochorion, which is richly vascular structure. Please recollect, vascular means having rich supply of blood, because basically it is the blood which is supplying all the things from the maternal side to the fetal side. So this allantois and chorion, which is like allantochorion, is the fetal part of placenta. Please recollect, placenta is having two parts, the fetal part and the maternal part. Fetal part is correctly allantochorion, and the maternal part, you recollect, it is decidua basalis. So basically this kind of placenta is called chorioallantoic placenta, because both the words have come, chorion and allanto. So 4 main parts we have checked in, extra embryonic structures they are called. One is amnion, second is yolk sac, third is chorion, and fourth is allantois. Now in the next class we'll move on with the next topic, that is gastrulation. Gastrulation. Thank you.